do that. It was the car.
His name is Herbie.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Herbie legacy is very specific and clearly drawn, and I really wanted to be specific for the fan base. He's kind of a character that I wanted to stay pretty true to, so I didn't want to rely a lot on CG or computer-generated Herbie.
She really wanted to kind of honor the nostalgia of the original Herbie, as opposed to going after some type of rubberized car.
You know, I really liked that they decided to go with the old original Herbie model, which is the '63 Volkswagen, and to not overdo the CGI and special effects. And I think that it's funnier that way.
I think the character of Herbie is really tied into it being a '63 Volkswagen and the charm of that particular model.
One of the things the director asked us to do was to come in and figure out what Herbie was going to do in this latest incarnation, how far we could push him, what our capabilities were going to be.
Herbie has about 4 or 5 wardrobe changes in the movie. The first would be Junkyard Herbie, as we call him, which is how Maggie finds Herbie originally in the junkyard.
The second is the Street Herbie, where they slick him out and give him new parts, and so he's all fancified, and they bring him to the street racing. And the third version is Demo Derby Herbie, who gets sent to the junkyard once Maggie loses him in a race and is at the mercy of the villains of the movie, and he just gets really beat up bad. Basically, he prevails in the end, but in the meantime, he's all stripped and sad looking. And then finally, NASCAR Herbie for the big NASCAR race at the end.
Herbie is the kind of car that, you know, reacts to everything. Herbie is another character in every scene. So we do get a lot of emotion from Herbie.
Herbie became a personality to me because over the weeks and months that we worked here, we found, or at least I did, found myself never referring to Herbie as the VW or this. It's always Herbie. You know, Herbie's going to do this, Herbie's going to do that.
All right, this is going to sound a little strange, but it wasn't me. I think it was Herbie.
Herbie is a car.
I think what I love about working on this film is that Herbie's emoting a whole load of different emotions. When Lindsay leaves him, when he wins the race at the end, when he's got a little bit of testosterone going and he's in NASCAR and he's actually racing against the other NASCARs.
It's a car that has feelings, and it's great the way it's done because Angela is doing it in a way so it's not so that it's so much silly, but it's interesting and you feel for the car as if it's a real person.
The first time I came on the set and we did the junkyard scene where Herbie was about to be dropped, the car crusher was coming, I felt immediate, concern for this car. People just project personality on the car.
Part of my job is kind of analyzing Herbie and kind of being Herbie's conscience and personality. And the thing is, as a character, he has his own specific arc through the film. He has his own wants, his needs, what he's trying to accomplish.
There was a point in the filming where I'd be like, well, he needs to move a little bit more left, and the script supervisor would be like, he the actor or he Herbie? And I'd be like, Herbie. Like, there was some point where he just became one of the actors in the movie.
The idea is to, of course, get a performance, take these disparate parts, cables, servos, remote control systems, put them all together and create a character out of them.
Bob Short's area of expertise is taking inanimate objects and giving them personality. So he's jumped right in and he's helping us actually create a personality for Herbie. And what our job is to make the actual actions happen while he directs it. The character in the car is all of this shopping list of actual physical actions that Herbie can do.
So I'd be like, Herbie needs to get more angry in this shot, and then he'd communicate with his puppeteers to figure out what combination of the pistons and hydraulics would make him look more angry.
What we have here is a small fortune in radio control equipment. You know, these servos here are ultra heavy-duty ones, and it takes about 5 people to actually operate him. All of these here are for operating his eyes, Herbie's eyes, so the actual headlights go back and forth, up and down, and then here's his eyelids that actually go in and out like that. So we got all 3 of these actions all pretty much jammed right in there. This part right here, this is for shaking his hood up and down. And we have air rams, radio controlled, of course, on his sunroof. And we have linear actuators that make his sun visors go up and down. A little electric motor on radio control that makes his antenna wag back and forth. They have his windshield wipers under control. We've got a ton of stuff inside of Herbie.
I got to see him up close. It was so cute. He has a little personality because he can blink his eyes and you can see his eyebrows.
This car just winked at me. A race car just winked at you. I swear, the car just winked at me.
They're individual pieces, of course. The car is nothing more than tires, body, headlights, steering wheel, visors. And by combining all of those things, we can create in Herbie a performance.
They've used the design of the car to sort of bring it alive. Because it has a very great face, the car.
The problem they had with practical Herbie was they had done such an incredible job of building this car, and there was so much stuff inside the car that you really couldn't drive it. There was no room for, things that made a car work. So when you saw Herbie sitting somewhere and performing, generally it was the practical car. And then, if it was moving and driving around, then we would have to go back in and replace the eyes or replace the bumper or whatever. And that became our domain. But once the physical effects guys saw what Angela wanted, they go, okay, we'll match this, we'll match that. And whatever was difficult or impossible in their world then came back to us later. Angela wanted us to go and have an incident where Herbie would run up against the bad guy's car, and because he's a petulant little thing, he was going to go and basically key it. And what we've done here is they have special effects guys have built a little mechanical mirror that comes out and goes up alongside the car, and it just actually misses the car, but you can't see it from this angle. And then back at the animation house, they are tracking and animating on a scratch. When it's all done, it's got little paint chips coming off, and it looks like you're seeing the primer coming out from the back.
I swear to God, I did not do that.
We've got a very strange shot. We call it the Large Marge shot, where, Tripp's been out there abusing the Volkswagen.
Who's laughing now?
And so he turns his back to the car and looks at the camera, and behind him, all of a sudden, this car just explodes out with all those parts flapping in the wind and, just headlights all over the place. And it's like totally insane for a moment. And he basically turns around and looks back, and the car's normal again. And it's just like comes out of left field. And it's one of the only times we really break the rules with Herbie, but it's such a strange little thing. It plays well. Because a lot of people, when they remember the old film, they had it in their mind that Herbie talked. Herbie never talked. He just beeped. And so in this movie, he doesn't talk either. He still beeps. But it's just weird how many people were convinced he did.
At least we know the horn works.
My goal and my role in the film is to try to use sound as a story component and to try to bring Herbie to life and to utilize sound effects to really give emotion to the movie itself.
I'd wear a helmet, too, if my ride looked like that.
We wanted to make sounds where, when you heard it by itself, you knew that was Herbie. And we wanted to transcend that and just try to give Herbie just the lovability and the personality. We took out each of the different Herbies and recorded them and got an idea of how they sounded and to get an essence of what we wanted Herbie to sound like from a starting point. Then to give it a little more fun, I took my voice, manipulated it lower, took it like a weird kind of engine sounds. And I used tubes and I used all these weird kinds of objects, manipulated it down to make it feel like it was backfiring. Weird kind of engine clunks. And it's lots of layers. We've got probably 80 tracks at any one time just for Herbie. Single different sounds that we are utilizing. His engine alone consists of 12 different sounds. We start off with different elements. We started off with the eyes. Then we added the suspension. Again, we wanted to add a little more humor to it, so we added some more comedy. We just need to bring him alive, give him a little bit of soul. So I ended up vocalizing a little bit of sound. You believe that this is no longer Volkswagen, but it's Herbie. Herbie the character. And you should never see Herbie as a car. you should see Herbie as Herbie. That's the most gratifying thing, is to know that, hey, the illusion worked, they're buying into it, they love Herbie, and Herbie becomes a character.
You're using your imagination, and you kind of feel like maybe cars do have personalities. And so this is like taking it one step farther, and he can actually express himself somehow, and it's just endearing.
But what's really special about this show is that instead of just creating a CGI car from scratch, what we've really done is tried to keep the connection to the old Herbie shows and the new one, which is why there's this blend of mechanical and CGI going on.
There were some days when the puppeteers would be out there practicing, and you'd walk by the car, and the little headlights would sort of track with you, and you'd see the bumper sort of shift a little bit. And for a moment, it was just like, it was like this big friendly dog. And that was pretty charming. And it was, I think that's what the audiences will get as well.
In the movie, you really feel bad for the car, or you're happy for the car, and it's amazing how they can capture people like that. And I give them a lot of props for being able to do that, because they have spent probably more time than any of us putting all that together. So that's pretty amazing.